At 48, Blake Shelton has finally stopped denying the rumors that have been swirling around for years. After all the speculation, the country music icon is now opening up in a way fans never expected. What's behind his shocking confession? Join us as we take a look at Blake Shelton's latest revelations. Roots, rise, and relationships. Blake Shelton's story begins in the small town of Ada, Oklahoma. Born on June 18, 1976, he grew up in a close-knit community where people knew their neighbors, and life moved at a slower pace. His parents, Dorothy and Richard Shelton, lived a modest life. Dorothy ran a beauty salon, and Richard sold cars. They weren't musicians, but they always supported Blake's interest in music. From a young age, Blake showed signs of musical talent. He loved to sing and was drawn to country music, which was a big part of life in Oklahoma. But it was his uncle who really helped shape his path. When Blake was 12 years old, his uncle taught him how to play the guitar. That gift changed everything. Blake began practicing regularly, learning how to put chords and melodies together. And soon, he was writing his own songs. Blake started performing at local events and fairs. His voice and charm made him a local favorite. He connected easily with people, even as a teenager. At just 15, he wrote his first song, and by 16, he had already won the Denbo Diamond Award, an honor given to young entertainers in Oklahoma. It was clear to everyone around him that he had something special. After graduating from high school, Blake knew he needed to take a big step if he wanted to turn his love for music into a real career. So, at just 17 years old, he left home and moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville was the heart of country music, and it was where many hopeful artists went to chase their dreams. Blake didn't have much, just his guitar, some savings, and a lot of determination. Life in Nashville wasn't easy at first. Blake struggled, like most newcomers. He worked odd jobs, wrote songs during the day, and performed wherever he could find a stage. He was trying to get noticed in an industry full of talented singers. But Blake was persistent. He never gave up, even when things got tough. Eventually, he landed a job at a music publishing company, which helped him build relationships and improve his songwriting. That hard work finally paid off when Giant Records noticed his talent and signed him to a recording contract. In 2001, Blake released his first single, Austin. The song was a heartfelt ballad about lost love and second chances. It struck a chord with listeners and became an instant hit. Austin stayed at #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart for 5 weeks, a huge accomplishment for a debut single. Following the success of Austin, Blake released his first album, Blake Shelton. The album included songs like All Over Me and Old Red, both of which performed well and helped establish his reputation in the country music world. Fans loved his deep emotional voice and the honesty in his lyrics. Blake didn't try to be flashy. He stayed true to his roots. That made him stand out. While Blake's career was taking off, his personal life was also changing. During this time, he married his longtime girlfriend, Kenneth Williams. Kenneth had been with Blake before he became famous. They met in Ada, Oklahoma, when they were both young, and she supported him through all the ups and downs of his early career. Their relationship was built on trust and a shared love for the simple life they had grown up with. In 2003, they got married in a quiet ceremony. Blake was becoming more well-known, but he was still finding his way in the music industry. Kenneth stood by him through it all. She helped him stay grounded and provided support as he adjusted to life on the road and in the spotlight. However, as Blake's fame grew, so did the demands of his career. He spent more and more time traveling, performing concerts, doing interviews, and promoting his music. The long separations and the fast-paced lifestyle started to take a toll on their marriage. Kenneth, who had once been part of every step in his journey, found herself alone more often as Blake's schedule got busier. Blake has been open about the challenges they faced. In interviews, he shared that the pressures of his career made it hard to keep their relationship strong. Despite their efforts to stay together, the strain became too much. In 2006, after 3 years of marriage, Blake and Kynette divorced. Their story is often remembered as the quiet beginning of a man who would go on to become one of country music's biggest stars. Let's now look at Blake's relationship with Miranda Lambert and how their love turned into one of country music's most talked-about pairings. Miranda Lambert and the rise of a power couple. Blake Shelton's life took another big turn when he met Miranda Lambert. Their story began in 2005 during the CMT 100 Greatest Duets concert. At the time, Blake was married to Kynette Williams, and Miranda was still an up-and-coming country singer. They were paired to perform the classic duet, "You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma." What happened on stage that night was more than just a performance. It was the start of something big. Blake later admitted in interviews that he felt a spark right away, even though he knew it was complicated. Miranda also said she felt something special during that performance, but out of respect for Blake's marriage, nothing happened at the time. They stayed in touch, and over time, their friendship slowly deepened. In 2006, Blake divorced Kynette, and not long after, he and Miranda began dating. Their relationship quickly captured the attention of fans and the media. Both were rising stars in country music. Blake had already made a name for himself, and Miranda was gaining recognition for her bold songs and strong voice. She had released her debut album, Kerosene, in 2005, and it was a hit. As they started appearing together at award shows, concerts, and on red carpets, the media began calling them the king and queen of country. For fans, they looked like a perfect match. Both were country through and through, honest, talented, and deeply connected to their roots. They even collaborated musically, supporting each other's careers and sharing the stage often. Their chemistry was clear to everyone who saw them together, whether it was in interviews or during live performances. As their romance grew, so did their fame. Miranda released hit after hit, including Gunpowder and Lead, The House That Built Me, and Mama's Broken Heart. Blake became a coach on The Voice in 2011, which brought him into the homes of millions of viewers each week and made him even more famous. Despite their busy schedules, they continued to make time for each other and appeared to have a strong bond. In May 2011, after 5 years of dating, Blake and Miranda got married. The wedding took place at a ranch in Texas, surrounded by family and close friends. Miranda wore her mother's wedding dress, and the whole day had a relaxed, country feel. It seemed like a dream come true for both of them. They often spoke in interviews about their love and how they made things work, even with the challenges of their careers. But behind the scenes, things weren't always easy. Fame can be a heavy burden, and the constant pressure of being in the public eye took a toll on their relationship. Both Blake and Miranda were extremely busy, often traveling in opposite directions for tours and TV appearances. It became harder and harder to spend quality time together. Rumors also began to swirl. There were stories in tabloids about trust issues and possible infidelity on both sides, though neither of them confirmed anything. Some reports said their lifestyles were starting to clash. Blake enjoyed life in Los Angeles when filming The Voice, while Miranda preferred a quieter, more rural lifestyle in Nashville or on her farm in Oklahoma. These differences created tension between them. Despite trying to make things work, Blake and Miranda announced their divorce in July 2015. The news shocked fans and dominated headlines. In a joint statement, they said, "This is not the future we envisioned, and it is with heavy hearts that we move forward separately." The statement was short, but it showed that they had tried to part ways respectfully. After the divorce, both Blake and Miranda opened up in different ways through their music. Miranda's album The Weight of These Wings reflected the heartbreak she went through, with songs that were raw and emotional. Blake released If I'm Honest, which also touched on pain, healing, and the changes in his life. Music became a way for both of them to process the breakup and share their side of the story. Gwen Stefani, the pop icon. 3. Gwen Stefani has always stood out in the world of music and fashion. She started as the lead singer of the band No Doubt, which formed in the late 1980s. At first, the band struggled to find success, But that changed with their 1995 album, Tragic Kingdom. The album featured hits like Don't Speak and Just a Girl, and it made Gwen a household name. Her powerful voice, bold style, and emotional lyrics helped No Doubt connect with fans around the world. After years of success with the band, Gwen decided to try something new. She started her solo career in 2004 with the album Love, Angel, Music, Baby. The album was a huge hit and included chart-topping singles like Hollaback Girl and Rich Girl. Her solo music had a different sound, more pop and dance, but it still had her unique touch. She became known not just for her music, but also for her fashion sense. She launched her own clothing line, Louisiana, MB, which reflected her bold and colorful style. She wasn't just a singer, she was a trendsetter. In the early 2000s, Gwen's personal life also captured public attention. In 2002, she married Gavin Rossdale, the lead singer of the rock band Bush. Their relationship brought together two big stars from different parts of the music world. The media often called them rock royalty because of their fame and style. They seemed like a strong couple, balancing careers in music with a shared love for family and privacy. Together, Gwen and Gavin had 3 sons, Kingston, Zuma, and Apollo. Gwen often talked about how much she loved being a mom. Even while managing her busy career, she made sure to spend time with her children and protect their privacy. Fans admired how she juggled motherhood and music and how she always put her family first. For many years, Gwen and Gavin seemed like one of the most stable couples in the entertainment world. They kept most of their relationship private and stayed out of the drama that often surrounds celebrity couples. But in 2015, their marriage came to an unexpected end. Gwen filed for divorce, and soon after, the reason became public. It was revealed that Gavin had been unfaithful. Reports said that he had a long-term affair with the family's nanny. The news shocked fans and deeply hurt Gwen. She later said in interviews that she felt blindsided and heartbroken. It was a painful time, especially because she was also focused on raising her young children and continuing her career. The divorce was finalized in 2016, and Gwen was open about how hard it was to go through that kind of personal pain in the public eye. But, like she had done in the past, she turned to music to help her heal. In 2016, she released the album This Is What the Truth Feels Like, which included songs that reflected the heartbreak she had experienced. The lyrics were raw and honest, and fans connected with them in a big way. Even though her marriage ended, Gwen showed strength by moving forward and continuing to be there for her children. She stayed active in music, made television appearances, and remained a fashion icon. Her ability to stay strong during such a difficult time made many people admire her even more. Crossing paths on The Voice. By 2014, both Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani were household names, but they came from very different corners of the music world. Blake, a country music superstar, had built his career through years of hard work, heartbreak, and hit songs. Gwen, on the other hand, was a pop and rock icon, known for her time with No Doubt and her bold solo career. That year, their paths crossed in a way no one expected, on the set of NBC's hit show The Voice. Gwen joined The Voice in 2014 as a coach, stepping in for Christina Aguilera during Season 7. Blake had already been a coach since the show's beginning in 2011. At first, it seemed like they would be an unusual pair. He was the country guy with boots and a laid-back attitude. She was the pop star with edgy style and high fashion. But from the moment they started working together, there was something special about their chemistry. On screen, their banter was lighthearted and fun. They teased each other, laughed easily, and brought a playful energy to the show. Fans quickly picked up on their connection. It was clear they got along well, but at the time, most people thought it was just part of the show's charm. What viewers didn't see, however, was what was happening behind the scenes. Both Blake and Gwen were quietly going through personal heartbreak. Blake had finalized his divorce from Miranda Lambert, In July 2015, Gwen, too, had just ended her 13-year marriage to Gavin Rossdale, finalizing their divorce in August 2015. Their worlds had been turned upside down, and they were both trying to figure out how to move forward while still living in the public eye. As they spent time together on set, they began to open up to each other. They talked about their marriages, the pain of divorce, and how difficult it was to stay strong for their families and careers. These shared experiences created a deep bond between them. Gwen later said in interviews that Blake had been one of the only people who truly understood what she was going through. And Blake admitted that talking to Gwen helped him heal. They weren't just co-workers anymore. They had become confidants, friends who offered each other support during one of the hardest times in their lives. That quiet friendship began to grow into something more. By the fall of 2015, rumors started to swirl. Fans noticed how close they seemed, both on and off camera. Then, in early November, the news broke. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani were officially dating. A representative for Gwen confirmed the relationship, and suddenly the couple was everywhere. Headlines, interviews, and social media posts. The public reaction was a mix of surprise and curiosity. On paper, Blake and Gwen didn't seem like the most obvious couple, but the more fans saw them together, the more people supported their relationship. Their story felt real. Two people who found each other at the right time, just when they needed someone who truly understood their pain. Media outlets called them an unexpected match, but for Blake and Gwen, their connection made perfect sense. They had been through similar heartbreaks and helped each other heal. Their love didn't start with glamour. It started with friendship, honesty, and shared struggles. And that made it all the more special. Their relationship also brought a fresh energy to The Voice. Fans tuned in not just for the talent, but to see Blake and Gwen interact. They weren't shy about their relationship either. As time went on, they posted sweet photos, attended events together, and even collaborated musically. Love under scrutiny. When two celebrities like Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani come together, especially after very public divorces, there's no avoiding the spotlight. From the start of their relationship, people had questions, opinions, and judgments. For Blake and Gwen, dealing with public pressure became part of their daily reality, especially as rumors and speculation began to build around them. Even before his relationship with Gwen, Blake Shelton was already familiar with the effects of tabloid rumors. During the end of his marriage to Miranda Lambert, rumors swirled that Blake had been unfaithful. Though neither of them ever publicly confirmed specific details, the headlines were relentless. These allegations followed him into his new relationship with Gwen. When Blake and Gwen confirmed they were dating in late 2015, just months after both of their divorces, the timing raised eyebrows. The media began digging into Blake's past, bringing up old rumors of cheating and suggesting that his new relationship may have overlapped with the end of his marriage. These suggestions caused renewed media attention and once again painted Blake as someone who may have caused hurt in his past relationship. While there was no solid proof behind the infidelity claims, the talk didn't stop. Every time Blake and Gwen were seen together, there were whispers. Many wondered if the relationship started before either of them had officially ended things with their spouses. While Blake was dealing with questions about his past, Gwen Stefani faced her own challenges. As the new woman in Blake's life, some people labeled her the other woman, even though her own marriage to Gavin Rossdale had also ended before she and Blake got together. Despite no clear evidence that Gwen played a role in Blake's divorce, she became a target for public judgment. For Gwen, this was especially difficult. She had always been seen as a strong, stylish, and respected figure in both the music and fashion worlds. Suddenly, her name was being dragged into negative stories, and her character was being questioned. People speculated about whether she was part of the reason Blake and Miranda split, even though Gwen had gone through her own heartbreak at nearly the same time. Instead of letting the media define their story, Blake and Gwen started to take control of their narrative. Social media helped with that. They would post photos, lighthearted videos, and real moments from their lives. Not staged, but genuine. Fans saw Blake joking around with Gwen's kids or the two singing together from their home in Oklahoma. These posts helped show people that theirs wasn't just a publicity stunt. It was a real relationship built on trust and shared experience. A relationship built on redemption. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani didn't just find love, they found healing. After each had gone through painful public divorces, their connection became something much deeper than just romance. It was about personal growth, emotional support, and learning how to trust again. Their relationship gave both of them a second chance, not just in love, but in life. After their divorces, both Blake and Gwen were dealing with a lot of emotional pain. Blake was coming off the end of a highly publicized marriage to Miranda Lambert, while Gwen had just ended her long-term relationship with Gavin Rossdale, the father of her 3 children. For both of them, it felt like everything had been turned upside down. In interviews, Blake talked about how lost he felt after his divorce. He said he didn't know how he was going to get through it until Gwen came into his life. Gwen shared similar feelings, saying she was heartbroken and struggling until she started opening up to Blake. They were both in pain, but instead of hiding it, they talked about it. They listened to each other, and that helped them heal. Over time, they started building something solid. They were both careful, not wanting to rush into anything too quickly, but they gave each other the space and support needed to rebuild trust. Gwen introduced Blake to her children slowly, making sure everything felt right. Blake embraced his new role with care and patience, and it made their bond even stronger. Their relationship naturally flowed into their music. In 2019, they released Nobody But You, a duet that captured the depth of their connection. The lyrics spoke about choosing each other and not wanting to live without one another. It wasn't just a love song, it was their story. The song became a hit on both country and pop charts, and fans loved how honest it felt. Then came Happy Anywhere in 2020, another duet that reflected their real-life happiness. The song celebrated love that feels good no matter where you are. It was upbeat, sweet, and full of the joy they had found in each other. Critics praised both songs for their chemistry and sincerity, and fans embraced the music as part of their shared journey. Marriage and moving forward. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani's relationship had already been through years of growth, healing, and love before they finally tied the knot. Their wedding wasn't a flashy Hollywood event. Instead, it was an intimate and emotional celebration that reflected who they really are as people. A couple grounded in family, love, and simplicity. The two got married on July 3, 2021, at Blake's Ranch in Tishomingo, Oklahoma. It was a private ceremony, held at a chapel that Blake himself had built on the property just for this moment. Only about 40 close family members and friends were invited. The wedding was kept small on purpose, because Blake and Gwen wanted it to feel personal and meaningful. For both of them, it wasn't about a big production. It was about making a promise to each other surrounded by the people they love most. Gwen wore a white dress designed by Vera Wang, which had special details stitched into it, including the names of her 3 sons, Kingston, Zuma, and Apollo. That small touch said a lot about how much her kids meant to her, and how important it was that they were part of this new chapter. Blake also had a heartfelt moment during the ceremony when he sang a special song he had written just for Gwen, called "We Can Reach the Stars." It was his way of expressing everything he felt in a way only music could. The moment was emotional for everyone there, especially Gwen. After the wedding, Blake stepped more fully into a new role, not just as Gwen's husband, but as a stepfather to her 3 boys. He's talked openly about how seriously he takes that responsibility. Blake didn't grow up with step-parents, but he had strong role models in his own life, and he wants to be that for Gwen's sons. He said he knew when he started dating Gwen that being involved with her kids would be a huge part of the relationship, and he embraced that. Blake has worked hard to build a real connection with Kingston, Zuma, and Apollo. He's taken them fishing, spent time with them on his ranch, and have made sure they always feel included. Gwen has mentioned many times how grateful she is for the bond Blake has formed with her boys. Even though Blake didn't have children of his own before, he's made it clear that being a stepdad is one of the most rewarding things in his life. Together, Blake and Gwen have worked to blend their families and create a life that feels balanced, even with the demands of fame. They split their time between Los Angeles and Oklahoma, choosing to live quietly when they're not working. Gwen continues to be involved in music and fashion, while Blake stepped away from The Voice in 2023 to spend more time at home. For both of them, family comes first now. Blake speaks up. Blake Shelton's honesty about his divorce from Miranda Lambert shocked many fans. In a 2016 interview with Billboard, he opened up in a way that was rare for him, revealing deep personal emotions he had previously kept private. For the first time, he acknowledged the pain of his split and its toll on him. In the interview, Blake described himself as being at rock bottom in the middle of hell when he was going through the divorce. The rawness of his words showed how difficult the experience was for him. Blake's life took a turn when Gwen Stefani joined The Voice as a coach in 2014. At that time, Blake was still deep in his divorce, and he barely knew Gwen. However, their connection would soon grow into something special. In the interview, Blake recalled the emotional moment when Gwen cried after hearing about his split. He remembered thinking that she felt bad for him, not realizing that she was going through her own heartache. What started as a friendly check-in turned into something more meaningful. Blake and Gwen began communicating regularly through emails. At first, it was just a way to connect and share their experiences. But soon, the emails turned into phone calls, and they were speaking nearly every day. Their friendship deepened, and with each conversation, they became more comfortable opening up to each other. They both found solace in their shared vulnerability. Blake's feelings for Gwen grew over time, and he eventually admitted that she helped him out of one of the darkest places in his life. In the interview, he said, "She saved my life," acknowledging how much Gwen had done for him emotionally. They weren't just healing individually, they were healing together. Blake's journey with Gwen wasn't just about moving on from the past. It was about rediscovering love and happiness after a painful chapter in his life. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on your favorite celebrities.